Welcome back to the Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. I wanted to do a quick Sunday Rapture talk / update on events, and just point out a couple different things. And first is Epstein didn't kill himself. All right. The very statement that you guys are seeing popping up all over the place is only cementing the very fact of what they're trying to push, the narrative, the false narrative. No, Epstein's not dead at all right? If you guys have ever ran into people that you've talked to about aliens or such over the years and deny it, oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist and such, then the news, the government allows out that Area 51 is real. The least of any topics on the reality of the thing. So then next time you talk to them in a group, they go, okay, well, you might have been right about Area 51, snicker, but the other stuff, you're so overboard. We know better, as they look to their friends that just have learned that Area 51 is actually a real place and now believe it. We're so much smarter than you, he, snicker, all right? Or you're a conspiracy nut, all right? It's the same mentality, the same idea. Epstein had tons of dead man switches, all right? He moved a bunch of money right before his death into a different account, and he's allowed to be pulled out of there and start his new life somewhere. He probably has his own island, all right? Just like all the other guys that did the shootings and the nonsense during the Obama administration, all right, that are waiting, and that's why they weren't put to the death penalty, all right? They pleaded insanity and all this other stuff. They're buying time. They're put into their program, and they're playing it out for possibly huge, large sums of money, and then when the time comes to break down, they get released, they get brought back out as part of the deal, okay? The whole Epstein didn't kill himself narrative that just came out with the forensic guy that said, there are strangulation marks, is only cementing the very fact of the talk that I just made earlier, speaking about UFOs, the government's involvement and things like that as an example. And then they released, Area 51 is real, but it was for testing SR-71 and other stealth fighters. So people go, okay, that's what it's really about. We know better, we're smarter. Well, you're only falling into that very same thing with the Epstein thing. No, he's not dead at all. They pulled him out of there. They snuck him out of there. And everything leading up to it, including the subpoenas for the other guards, is only going to probably lead to their death for anybody that might have any information or know that he's alive. By saying that he's dead, but he didn't kill himself, only gives you the little tidbit to say, okay, here's the real truth. No, he didn't kill himself. It was a conspiracy, but we're just going to drop it at that. All right? Remember, discernment isn't yes and no or right and wrong. It's only between 100% right and 99.9% right, okay? That's what discernment is. And you have to know that difference. It's just something I wanted to throw out real quick because I'm seeing it pop up all over the place. Be wise to all this stuff, okay? Because if you buy into it, you're only feeding into the narrative that they want and cementing it in fact, and that won't be the truth. Let's talk about the rapture. We're so close to this. I really believe truly that this is going to go down next year, not only with it lining up for the fall being 2021 and finishing up 70 years or 73 years and the 7-year tribulation ending with 80 years when it's done in 2027, but how everything else is falling right into play. I told you guys before September 13th that I had a deja vu, and it showed me walking around the truck. It was a midpoint deja vu. It hasn't taken place yet. I saw that it's going to happen. Those are, I don't know if they're their own element or what, but in the process of it, I got a glimpse on the other side. And what it looked like to me was digits. Right, this is just what I saw. And it looked like there was 3 to 5 more. And the one that was what I believe the ultimate deja vu, or me getting my head plunged in the river of time, was that rapture vision that was shown to me that will happen. And of course, like everything else, every angle that I've looked at, it was just inside of a fog, and it was only a snap picture of this for a split second before it goes away. But it looked like it was about 3 or 4, 5 more deja vus away from being the reality, the ultimate reality of it happening and getting closer. And that's all I saw. Early last week, I had my second deja vu since the one before the 13th of September, so it's ticking down. All right, and I don't know how far into the fog it goes, but I had a feeling that what I saw for that split second, the the vision that I got is just inside that fog. So I really hope that it isn't. It takes place at that time because it's something I can look to count down. But yet it's still blocked, like so many other things that I've looked at. I've tried to use every sort of calculation and possibility that there is that I can look at to get a timeline where I can put a guarantee down on when this is going to happen. I'm never given the complete guarantee. Every single time I think I'm getting close to something, a spring door opens up and 10 more paths open up, making it an impossibility. But sometime in the near future, every single possibility that is rotating and spinning at the same time is going to get up for a split second alignment that's going to be perfect, that we're not going to probably be able to see completely, which is going to be God saying, okay, go get them, and the rapture is going to take place. And right now, spring, like I say, is looking really good. The Israeli elections, they're lining up more and more with the Rabbi Kaduri prophecy that the government want to be formed. And they would end up going into a third election. Well, just like right now, it's not taking place, and Gantz is trying to form a government. Most likely it won't take place, and they'll push into another election, which will be done and held March 31st of next year, all right, early spring. The Kaduri prophecy says sometime before the government's formed, the rapture happens. Will it happen at that time? Will it extend further? Is there a reference to that? Nobody knows. Because all I know is that it's getting very close, and there's a number of things that are lining up, and coincidentally, it's lining up very good with the 70-year generation prophecy, 80 years by strength, and that's exciting. Another thing that's come to mind, when I had that vision, for a long time I've thought, when was that dream exactly? I was thinking it was in April sometime or not, but I had a certain job that started, I believe it started around the last week of May, and I went into June 25th or so when I quit. I only worked there a month. But I remember distinctly I was at that job because it was super depressing and I was getting paid like crap, and it was terrible. But that was when I had the rapture vision. It was in 2014 and I was at that place. And I believe I started right at the end of May, which interesting is that Pentecost is May 31st next year. And when I had that vision, I said the clouds were a certain way. And for the first time ever, I was able to take a look all year long and watch the clouds. And there was only one day distinctly, and I've looked into fall all the way, but there was only one time when it really lines up, and it's in a springtime window. And the one day when they were all perfect, and it could just be an encouraging thing that's been given to me, I have no idea. But there was one day when they lined up perfectly, and just happened to be Pentecost, and it was June 9th of this year. And June 9th or 10th, whenever it was a Sunday, and it was that weekend of Pentecost. And they lined up perfectly. And that's the only time that I've seen that happen. So very interesting around that time. The get together with the Pope and his pushing of the new Nazi indoctrination of children and stuff like that, where they want to teach kids and stuff like that. It's getting closer and closer. The UN is taking its position in the United States, which has already been here already, but it's going to be even more founded. Yes, they are the Antichrist army. When the time comes, the insiders and stuff that have already said, that have came out and spoken, is they switch over and they're the New World Order, right? They're already the part of the army, and there's already other guys on a standby that are in the UN that they'll take over in leadership positions of it and stuff like that. These are embedded in all kinds of things, from judges, court systems, cops, and all kinds of others that have sold their soul already to the Illuminati and have taken their place, like sleeper cells basically. They can't wait to start killing people and stuff like that and set up their new satanic New World Order law that they're going to do. And it's moving right in that direction. So, it's going to get darker, but at the same time, we also have the return of the Lord coming in. That's very exciting, and it's looking very, very close. Like I say, right now, spring is looking right on target for everything lining up to that spot. I obviously can't give a guarantee or anything like that, but I'm pretty excited about this one. Every year I get excited, and I'm looking at time and I'm calculating things and stuff like that, but next spring it feels very promising, especially with the new stuff that I've recently discovered and that's been shown. And why hasn't he told us just right from the start? Obviously he won't, but it's like, can there be any more clues and things like that? And I think one of the main reasons is if I would have known back in 2014 that I want to be to 2020, if it is 2020, would I have started the mission, started talking and everything like that, or would I waited till like 2019 and not had enough time? Probably so, because that's like a human nature thing. But by thinking it was at that time and each year and getting drug along, I've been out talking and ultimately leading to talking on these videos and things like that. And it's allowed more stuff to happen, which if I were to look at how much I would have to go through, it would be overwhelming. But to take it one step at a time, I get to look back and go, man, that was tough, but at least I made it through it, and continuing on one step at a time. We're given exactly what we need to make it, and we continue on in encouragement like we look every year. If we were told that it was a long time off, there's many people that gave up. They don't have it in their heart. It's too much. It's just overwhelming. But as we continue one step at a time, maybe 6 months at a time, these different little times that we have, it's an encouragement, that, hey, we got to make this for, this is going to be it. And then when it doesn't happen, we've made that step that we didn't think it was possible. And then when we get to look back, we've made it 6, 7 years. So, I believe that's why he does it. But don't be discouraged, because it is coming. It's coming down. It's coming down to it. He told me in 2017 that it was soon, and this year on the 13th of September he told me almost time. So it is getting very, very close, and I believe that's something that I'm calculating as well too. 2 years the first time leading up to that, and almost time I'm guessing is a 1 year mark, maybe less too. So I think there's a good chance that it lines up for next year. Trump moving his residency down to Florida, I don't think that's a coincidence at all. One of the first things that happens in America is New York gets nuked. If he has inside scoop on that, he's going to want to start getting his residency and stuff out of there down to Florida. Of course, Florida's not going to be a better place anyways, so it's hard to say on that, but I don't look at anything as coincidence and stuff like that. They all know what's going on, and the whole thing's been a sham the whole time. It's amazing it's ran this long, but the al-Baghdadi thing, what happens? We pull troops out of Syria and stuff like that, screw up the Kurds. Israel doesn't know if they can trust us anymore, if we can pull out that fast. Of course they can't, because during the Gog and Magog attack, nobody's there for them. So they're wise in that matter. But what do? They bring out the next week, oh, al-Baghdadi, we just decided to take him out, all right? So reminiscent of Osama bin Laden. What do we do with Baghdad? We also take him out to sea and we drop him off so nobody can do any forensic testing or anything like that. Just a narrative. Do the guys that do it? No, not all the time. You go into a dark house at night, a guy looks similar to that. They already have their profile and say, yeah, this looks like it can match up. Boom, you do the shooting. You think you've killed bin Laden. It's a bloody mess. And then you throw him out to sea so you can't get another picture at it. The guys that do it might not even know. And then if there's any chance of that, you cut your loose ends on all the Navy SEALs, which you'd never do, by sticking them all in one crappy Chinook helicopter and you shoot them down. Not by an RPG or anything like that from a terrorist, but you do it yourself and then you blame it on an RPG, and then a week later you say, oh, we found the guy out in the wilderness, we dropped a bomb on him from an F-18 at like 30,000 feet. Give me a break. The whole thing's a lie. All right, the al-Baghdadi thing, just another play. How many times have we killed him already? Like 2 or 3. Last year Russia killed him when they dropped a bomb on him. But then when we need somebody that the public's going to recognize, oh, al-Baghdadi, what do? You start pushing it out. All these memes and nonsense in the media, and then it becomes cemented in. The same thing as the Jeremy Epstein stuff. Don't believe anything you see. It's all a bunch of nonsense, and it's a total game, okay? They needed to bring that out because it was such a hit with leaving the Kurds and stuff like that. But this is all part of a play to allow Russia to come in, because secretly, we know what's going on with the whole thing. It's putting pressure on Israel, the Gog and Magog thing, the whole idea with Trump coming in as a good cop, bad cop scenario. All right, it has been the whole time to push the Third Temple so that they take the position, where it's something they want to do the whole time, because the Antichrist needs the Third Temple because he's going to go in there and declare himself to be God, or they want to set rule from Jerusalem. Okay, that's what all this is playing out to be. It's not Cyrus or any of the Kim Clement stuff that I told you was under a demonic type of possession that was fooling Christians. Of course, you get Mark Taylor and stuff on board with this nonsense, and he starts pushing out his narrative. And where does he slipped off to now that things aren't looking so dreamy anymore? Well, this country's about to go through blessing and stuff like that. I'm sure he'll come out later when he says that God told him this. Oh, it's not looking too good because Trump's turning away from God. Give me a break. Was he ever really with him in the first place? No, the whole thing's probably a sham, okay? But, that's just, that's the news and stuff that's going on. But there is something cool that I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to throw this in there real fast if I got time. I was looking at the Shroud of Turin, and I saw something the other day, and I thought it was really neat. I don't know if you guys have ever, I'm sure you have. You guys all probably know what the Shroud of Turin is. You guys know what the Shroud of Turin is, though. But it's a cloth that was wrapped around Jesus, and they said for a long time it was inconclusive. They wouldn't be able to test it. And they pulled off a part that had been sewed back onto it, and it gave a wrong carbon dating and things like that. But as time went on, they got to look at it a little bit closer. They got more deeper into the fabric up towards the center of where it was, and it laid out an accurate carbon dating. And then they got to test the blood, and just like what they found on the Ark of the Covenant that Ron Wyatt found, 24 chromosomes, 23 from Mary and 1 from God. Very unique blood that doesn't belong anywhere else. It's only in that place. Very specific. And of course, they've thought, well, maybe it's a great hoax. It's a great hoax. Well, what I saw the other day absolutely cements that that's impossible. It can only be done by God. The negative image that's on the cloth that they discovered later on, that it has just like a film that has to be done in a red room or whatever, and they take that and put it into a picture. The cloth itself became that, and it can only happen through intense light, and I do mean intense. And they discovered it through computer imaging and stuff like that, that it has a whole 3D imaging on it that just seems absolutely impossible. Not only that, but dimensional barrier, in a way that the cloth being a flat plane, it goes into 3 dimensions and stuff like that. It's truly an incredible piece that the Roman Catholic Church has, of course, and just like anything else, they're looking at symbols and magical artifacts, when the real power is having the relationship with Jesus personally. But they estimated and said, scientists, that the only way that could be done is from a wattage. All right. Like, think about your light bulb, 60 watts, 100 watts. The only way that image could have been done on that cloth is with a wattage of 34 trillion watts, okay? To put this in context so you can understand how bright this is, we're pushing the barriers of the intensity of the sun. That tomb, if it wouldn't have been for a snap second when Jesus came back to life and the light showed in there, and I'm guessing he put it under control fast so that the whole place didn't melt down, or even worse, melt the planet in half. He came back and it put that image on the cloth. It's absolutely incredible. But 34 trillion watts, to give an idea of how much that is. I believe it was in 2013. The whole world using electricity from nuclear power plants, coal plants, every other form of electricity that they have and they have recorded, comes up to an hourly wattage of, and this is after an hour, of around 17 trillion volts, okay? It would take 2 full hours of all the energy of the planet to produce that kind of wattage. And this happened within a split second of Jesus waking up. We're talking about power so absolutely incredible. You can't comprehend it. It's amazing. All right. Since they first started wind towers, all right, back whenever it was, 90s, 80s or whatever, they just crossed this year, I believe, 1 trillion watts altogether. All the turbines, all the energy that they've stored up together, just 1 trillion. This was 34 trillion watts. That's an amount of energy that's just indescribable. The guards there at that place must have been freaking out, seriously, because that was probably the brightest thing they've ever seen in their life. And those that have seen Jesus in heaven and things like that, and they talk about his brightness coming on, it's more than anybody can handle. Sinners won't even be able to look at it. It's just too bright, which is why Jesus has to cover for our sins anyways. We wouldn't even be able to be in the presence. It's just too absolutely incredible. Sin in us would take us with it. It would totally destroy us. It's absolutely amazing, unless we didn't have new bodies. So I want to make a little correction. A few weeks ago, or when I did a video, I was talking about the rapture vision. I was talking about those who want to be the 2 witnesses, or that claim that they are, and all the phonies out there. They're most likely not anything at all, because if they've been deceived that far, there's probably a chance that they're already too far gone. Hopefully not. All right. Or the 144,000 looking for power so that you can be like, look at me, I'm untouchable. Now the world can come and worship me and stuff like that, or whatever the vanity is that the people have that believe they are, they're getting ascribed to. All right. When I said don't attest to it, when you get changed in that instant and you go up, what I experienced, what I saw, the amount of joy, it would destroy this body in a second. You'd go off like a nuke. It can't handle unless you have the new body. It's just too incredible. But I said the electricity that's flowing through, the energy, the incredible power, and not only that, but the prestige and just knowing, oh yeah, there is nothing that can touch you. There's no army that's a child of God, all right? It's indescribable. And I said, it's like all the electricity of the world going through you at once. Well, if we're made to be like Jesus, like the Bible says that we are, we're given bodies like him, that can eat and walk through walls and stuff like that. I might have been making an understatement there, because when Jesus woke up in his new body, just here on earth, before he toned it down, I'm guessing very fast, it was 34 trillion watts. All right, that's over double of what it takes for an hour of the whole earth to produce. So I might have been making an understatement when I said that. It could be even better. Right? The point is, it's an amazing amount of energy, and it's a pretty cool fact that they had, and it definitely guarantees that there's no way they can reproduce it on Earth. They don't have anything that powerful to try and reproduce that. So it's really a unique thing, and only gives the validity to Jesus being God Himself. Really amazing stuff, and I thought that was cool, and I wanted to share it with you guys. But this is a little update that I wanted to do this weekend and stuff, and keep looking up. Time's getting close. The rapture really is coming. The way things are looking, yeah, it's looking like spring right now. I hope that it is. If it gets pushed back, we just take it one step at a time. But right now, like I say, I'm just bringing out what I got and how things look. Be encouraged. Don't be discouraged. Keep looking up, because we're about to get out of here. Repent, walk with God, and have that personal relationship. All right. Just wanted to share this. God bless. I'll catch you next time on the Legion. Bye.